The snow falls gently over the streets of Los Angeles, a rare and haunting sight in a city that rarely sees winter's touch. On a bench outside Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, a man sits alone, his expensive Italian suit soaked through, his face a mask of devastation. Choi Seok-min is 32 years old, the heir to one of the most powerful Korean-American business empires on the West Coast. His family controls shipping, real estate, and enterprises that operate in the shadows between legitimate commerce and something far more dangerous. He has everything money can buy, and none of it matters now. Because the woman he loves, the woman who taught him what love truly means, has just taken her last breath in a hospital room 20 floors above him. Jessica Hart is gone. But I am getting ahead of myself. To understand how Choi Seok-min, a man raised in the cold corridors of power and privilege, came to love a woman his family despised, I need to take you back to the beginning. Back to a library in Cambridge where two worlds collided and nothing would ever be the same. What would you do if the person who made you feel alive for the first time came from a world your family considered beneath them? What if loving them meant losing everything you were raised to become? And what if, in the end, you discovered that love itself has an expiration date that no amount of money or power can extend? Before we dive into this extraordinary love story, I want to ask you something. If stories about love that defies all boundaries speak to your heart, if you believe that connection transcends class and culture and color, then take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Share this with someone who needs to believe that love can conquer even the deepest divisions. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this one to life. Now, let us travel back 6 years to Harvard University, where 24-year-old Choi Seok-min is about to have his carefully ordered world turned completely upside down. Seok-min walks through the Radcliffe College library with the confidence of a man who has never been told no. His family name opens doors across 2 continents. His grandfather built an empire from nothing after immigrating from Korea in the 1950s. His father, Choi Ki-yeon, expanded that empire into something that commands respect and fear in equal measure. Seok-min studies social sciences at Harvard. Though everyone knows his education is merely a formality, his future is already written. He will graduate, return to Los Angeles, and take his place in the family business. He will marry someone appropriate, someone from a good Korean family, someone who understands the world he inhabits. But on this particular afternoon, Seok-min needs a book for his economics paper. He approaches the circulation desk and finds himself facing a young black woman with natural hair, sharp eyes, and an expression that suggests she is entirely unimpressed by whatever he is about to say. "Can I help you?" she asks, her voice carrying a note of challenge. Seok-min is not accustomed to being challenged. "I need the Henderson analysis of market structures." She does not move. "Do you have a library card? Do you know who I am?" The woman laughs. "Do you always answer questions with questions? And no, I have no idea who you are. Should I?" Something shifts in Seok-min's chest. He has spent his entire life surrounded by people who know exactly who he is and treat him accordingly. This woman looks at him like he is just another student, no more or less important than anyone else. "Choi Seok-min," he says. "Is that supposed to mean something to me? My family donated the east wing of this building." She tilts her head, studying him with those penetrating eyes. "Congratulations. Do you want a medal, or do you want the Henderson book?" Despite himself, Seok-min smiles. "Both, if you are offering." Her name is Jessica Hart, and she is a senior at Radcliffe majoring in classical music. She plays piano and cello. She loves Mozart and Bach and the Beatles, and she works at the library to help pay her tuition. Her father, Hart Jackson, owns a small bakery in Oakland, California, where he raised Jessica alone after her mother died when she was 7. Jessica is everything Seok-min is not. She is working class, black, and utterly unimpressed by wealth or status. She speaks her mind without filter, challenges him on every assumption, and refuses to be charmed by the advantages that have smoothed his path through life. Seokmin is captivated. Over the following weeks, he finds excuses to visit the library constantly. He checks out books he has no intention of reading. He lingers at the circulation desk, trading barbs with Jessica that gradually become something more. He discovers that beneath her sharp tongue lies a brilliant mind and a warm heart. Jessica resists at first. She knows who the Choi family is. Everyone in certain circles knows about the Korean business empire with its fingers in shipping and real estate and other enterprises that people whisper about but never discuss openly. She has no interest in becoming entangled with that world, but Seokmin is persistent. And more than that, he is genuine. Away from his family, away from the expectations and the legacy and the predetermined path, he is simply a young man trying to figure out who he really is. Jessica sees something in him that no one else has bothered to look for. A hunger for authentic connection, a loneliness that all his privilege cannot fill. She agrees to attend one of his hockey games. Seokmin plays for Harvard, and he is good, aggressive on the ice with a competitive fire that sometimes gets him into trouble. Jessica watches him take a penalty for fighting and shakes her head when he skates past her afterward. Showing off? She calls. Always, he grins. After the game, they walk through Cambridge in the autumn twilight. The leaves are changing color, and the air carries the crisp promise of approaching winter. They talk about everything and nothing, music and economics, family expectations and personal dreams, the pressure of being the only Black woman in most of her classes, and the suffocation of being the heir to an empire he never asked for. By the time the first snow falls, they are in love. Seokmin takes Jessica to meet his roommate, Vincent Harrison, a gregarious young man from Connecticut who has become Seokmin's closest friend at Harvard. Vincent welcomes Jessica warmly, immediately recognizing the change she has brought to his usually reserved roommate. I have never seen him like this, Vincent tells Jessica when Seokmin steps out of the room. He actually smiles now. Jessica laughs. Someone had to teach him how. Their relationship deepens through the winter months. Jessica introduces Seokmin to jazz clubs in Boston where musicians play until dawn. He takes her to classical concerts and watches her face light up with pure joy at the music. They study together in his apartment, Jessica helping him with papers while he listens to her practice piano. For the first time in his life, Seokmin feels like he belongs somewhere. Not because of his family name or his money, but because someone sees him, truly sees him, and loves him anyway. Spring arrives. Jane and Seokmin knows he must take the next step. He travels to Oakland, California to meet Jessica's father. Hart Jackson's Bakery is a small establishment in a working-class neighborhood, nothing like the gleaming corporate offices Seokmin grew up visiting. The smell of fresh bread fills the air, and the walls are decorated with photographs of Jessica at various ages. Hart Jackson is a compact man with strong hands and kind eyes. He greets Seokmin with a handshake that tests his grip and an appraising look that misses nothing. So you are the young man who has been monopolizing my daughter's time, Hart says. Yes, sir, and I would like to ask your permission to marry her. Hart studies him for a long moment. You understand that Jessica is everything to me? Her mother died when she was just a little girl. I raised her myself. She is brilliant and beautiful, and she could have anyone. I know, sir. And you think you deserve her? Seokmin meets Hart's eyes directly. No, sir. I do not think I deserve her. But I love her more than I have ever loved anything in my life, and I will spend every day trying to be worthy of her. Something shifts in Hart's expression. He nods slowly. That is the right answer. He gives his blessing, and Seokmin returns to Cambridge with a ring in his pocket and joy in his heart. But there is one more conversation he must have. And this one will not go nearly as well. Seokmin brings Jessica home to Los Angeles to meet his family. The Choi estate in the hills above the city is a sprawling compound that speaks of wealth beyond imagination. Armed security guards patrol the grounds. Expensive cars line the circular driveway. The house itself is a monument to power and success. Jessica squeezes Seok Min's hand as they approach. This is where you grew up? Unfortunately, his father, Choi Ki-yeon, waits for them in the formal living room. He is a severe man in his 60s, impeccably dressed, with cold eyes that assess everything and everyone for potential use or threat. Seokmin's mother died when he was young, and his father never remarried. The household has always been run with military precision. Father, this is Jessica Hart. Kian looks at Jessica the way he might look at an inconvenient obstacle. He does not offer his hand. His eyes take in her natural hair, her modest dress, and her confident posture. Miss Hart, he says flatly, my son has spoken of you. It is wonderful to meet you, Mr. Choi. Kian turns to Seokmin. May I speak with you privately? In his father's study, the pretense of civility evaporates. What are you thinking? Kian demands. This woman is entirely unsuitable. She has no family of consequence, no connections, no understanding of our world. I love her, father. Love. Kian spits the word like a curse. Love is a luxury we cannot afford. You have responsibilities, obligations. There are arrangements being discussed with the Park family, the Kims. Alliances that will strengthen our position. I do not want alliances. I want Jessica. Then you will have neither her nor this family. The words hang in the air between them. Seok-min feels the weight of everything he has ever been raised to become pressing down on him. The empire, the legacy, the power. All of it conditional on his obedience. He thinks of Jessica, her laugh, on her music, the way she challenges him to be better than he is. He thinks of the life they could build together, away from this cold world of transactions and alliances. Then I choose her. Kian's face hardens. If you marry this woman, you are no longer my son. You will receive nothing from this family. No money, no position, no name. You will be dead to me. Seokmin walks out of the study, takes Jessica's hand, and walks out of his father's house. He does not look back. When they marry in a simple ceremony in Oakland, Hart Jackson walks his daughter down the aisle with tears of joy streaming down his face. Vincent Harrison serves as best man. The wedding reception is held in Hart's bakery, filled with the smell of fresh bread and the sound of jazz music that Jessica loves. Choi Ki-yeon does not attend. Disinherited and financially independent for the first time in his life, Seok-min enrolls in Harvard Law School. Jessica takes a job teaching music at a private school in Cambridge to support them. They rent a tiny apartment near campus, so small that Jessica jokes they cannot both stand in the kitchen at the same time. Their first morning as husband and wife in their new home, Jessica makes coffee while Seok-min watches from the bed. What are you staring at? She asks. The most beautiful woman in the world. She throws a pillow at him. Get up. You have class in an hour. These years are the happiest of Seok-min's life. Without his father's money, he learns what it means to work for something. He studies harder than he ever has before. Jessica types his papers, quizzes him on case law, and celebrates every small victory with him. They have nothing and everything at the same time. Sometimes Vincent visits from his job on Wall Street. He brings wine and stories about his own romantic misadventures, and the three of them laugh until late in the night. Vincent marvels at the transformation in his friend. Marriage suits you, he tells Seok-min. She suits me, Seok-min replies, looking at Jessica with naked adoration. During this time, Seok-min's father makes occasional attempts at contact. Ki-yeon sends messages through intermediaries, suggesting that reconciliation might be possible if certain conditions are met. Seok-min ignores them. He travels to Ithaca for a hockey tournament against Cornell, and his father appears in the stands, he having driven hours to see him play. Seokmin gets into a fight on the ice and is sent to the penalty box. Harvard loses the game. Afterward, Ki-yeon approaches him. I drove a long way to see you play, and you saw me lose. I came to see you. The win does not matter. For a moment, something flickers between them. Then Seokmin remembers his father's cold dismissal of Jessica, his ultimatums and threats. Thank you for coming, Seokmin says, and walks away. He graduates third in his class from Harvard Law. Prestigious firms from across the country compete to hire him. His professors write glowing recommendations. Even without the Choi family name opening doors, Seokmin has proven himself exceptional. He accepts a position at a major law firm in Los Angeles. It feels like a homecoming of sorts, returning to the city where he grew up, but building his own life now, on his own terms. He and Jessica find an apartment in Santa Monica, near the ocean. Every morning they walk on the beach before work, watching the sunrise paint the Pacific in shades of gold and pink. Their life together unfolds beautifully. Seokmin rises quickly at his firm. Jessica finds work teaching music at a performing arts school, nurturing young talent and filling their home with the sound of piano music. They host dinner parties for friends, attend concerts, and build a community around themselves that has nothing to do with family money or connections. When they try to start a family, month after month, Jessica's hope turns to disappointment. They consult doctors, undergo tests, and remain optimistic through setback after setback. It does not matter, Jessica tells him one night after another negative test. We have each other. That is enough. But Seokmin sees the sadness in her eyes, and it breaks his heart. After more tests, more consultations with specialists, the doctors ask them to come in for a meeting. Seokmin holds Jessica's hand as they wait in the sterile office, surrounded by pamphlets about fertility treatments and family planning. The doctor enters with a folder in his hands and an expression that makes Seokmin's blood run cold. I am afraid I have difficult news, the doctor begins. The tests did not reveal a fertility issue. They revealed something far worse. Jessica has leukemia. The disease is advanced and aggressive. Treatment options are limited. How long? In Seokmin hears himself ask, though the voice does not sound like his own. The doctor hesitates. With treatment, perhaps a year. Perhaps less. The drive home is silent. Jessica stares out the window at the Los Angeles skyline, the city where they built their life together, the city that suddenly feels like it is closing in around them. I am not going to spend whatever time I have left crying, Jessica finally says. I refuse to let this disease steal our joy. Seokmin pulls the car over, stops on the side of the highway and takes her face in his hands. We will fight this together. I will find the best doctors, the best treatments. I will do whatever it takes. I know you will. She smiles, though tears stream down her cheeks. That is why I love you. The months that follow are a blur of hospital visits, treatments, hope, and heartbreak. Seokmin takes a leave of absence from work to care for Jessica. He moves her into the best cancer treatment center in Los Angeles, sparing no expense. But the treatments require money. More money than he has. His savings dwindle rapidly against the onslaught of medical bills. For the first time since their wedding, Seokmin considers swallowing his pride. He drives to his father's estate in the hills. Ki-yeon receives him in the same study where they had their final confrontation years ago. The old man looks older now, worn by time and perhaps by regret. Seokmin, this is unexpected. Father, I need your help. Something flickers in Ki-yeon's eyes. What has happened? Seokmin cannot bring himself to tell the truth. He cannot admit that Jessica is dying, cannot make his father's final victory over their love into a deathbed confession. We are having a child. There are medical expenses. Ki-yeon's face transforms. A child. My grandchild. Yes. The old man rises, walks to his desk, writes a check. Whatever you need. This changes everything. We must discuss your return to the business. Seokmin takes the check. Thank you, father. He leaves before Kion can ask more questions, before the lie can grow any larger, before he breaks down in front of the man who tried to destroy the only thing that ever mattered to him. The money buys time, but it cannot buy miracles. Jessica grows weaker week by week. Her beautiful hair falls out from the treatments. She loses weight until her cheekbones stand out sharply in her face. But she never loses her spirit, her humor, her capacity for joy. Tell me about when we met, she asks Seokmin one evening in her hospital room. He sits beside her bed, holding her hand, and tells the story again. The library, the Henderson book, her complete refusal to be impressed by his family name. I knew right then, he says. I knew you were going to change my life. I was trying to get you to go away. It did not work. She laughs, and the sound is the most beautiful music he has ever heard. Hart Jackson comes from Oakland to be with his daughter. He sits by her bed for hours, telling her stories about her mother, about growing up in the bakery, about how proud he is of the woman she has become. You did everything right, Daddy, Jessica tells him. I had the best life. Vincent visits too, flying in from New York. He brings flowers and forced cheer, but his eyes are red when he leaves the room. She is the best person I know, Vincent tells Seokmin in the hallway. This is not fair. No, it is not. On a cold December night, Jessica takes a turn for the worse. The doctors gather the family to say their goodbyes. Seokmin holds her hand as Hart prays softly in the corner. I need you to promise me something, Jessica whispers. Anything. Do not let this break you. Do not close yourself off from love again. Promise me you will live, Seokmin. Really live. I do not know how to do that without you. She smiles. That beautiful smile that captured his heart in a library 6 years ago. You will learn. And I will be watching, making sure you keep your promise. I love you, Jessica. I love you too. And remember, love means never having to say you are sorry. She closes her eyes. A few hours later, as snow falls gently outside the window, Jessica Hart takes her last breath. Seokmin does not know how long he sits beside her. Time loses all meaning. Eventually, a nurse gently leads him out of the room. He finds himself walking out of the hospital into the cold night air. The snow is falling harder now, coating the streets of Los Angeles in white. Seokmin sits down on a bench outside the hospital and stares at nothing. He has just lost everything that matters. He does not know how much time passes before he hears footsteps approaching. He looks up to see his father standing before him, coatless in the snow, his face lined with something that looks almost like grief. I spoke with the hospital, Kion says quietly, about the bills. They told me the truth. Seokmin says nothing. Why did you not tell me she was dying? Would it have made a difference? Kion is silent for a long moment. Then he sinks down onto the bench beside his son. I was wrong about her. I was wrong about everything. I am so sorry, Seokmin. Seokmin looks at his father, really looks at him for the first time in years. He sees an old man who sacrificed his relationship with his only son for pride and prejudice. He sees regret carved into every line of that weathered face. Love means never having to say you are sorry, Seokmin says quietly. Kion bows his head. Where does that come from? She said it to me. At the end, father and son sit together in the falling snow, united at last in grief over the woman who taught them both what really matters. The funeral is held in Oakland, warm in the small church where Jessica was baptized as a child. The pews are filled with people whose lives she touched, students she taught, friends she made, family who loved her. Hart Jackson delivers a eulogy that has everyone in tears. She was sunshine, Hart says. Pure, beautiful sunshine. And even though the clouds have come now, the light she brought into this world will never fade. Seokmin stands at the graveside as they lower his wife into the ground. His father stands beside him, a hand on his shoulder. It is the first physical affection Kion has shown him since he was a child. In the months that follow, Seokmin learns to live again, just as he promised Jessica he would. He returns to work. He reconnects with his father, slowly rebuilding a relationship that was shattered by pride and prejudice. He visits Hart Jackson regularly, and the two men who loved Jessica find comfort in sharing their grief. One evening, Seok-min sits at the piano in his apartment, where the piano Jessica used to play. He does not know how to play himself, but he places his fingers on the keys and imagines he can hear her music filling the room. In his heart, he speaks to her still. I am trying, Jessica. Every day I am trying to keep my promise. I am trying to live. And somewhere, he believes, she is listening. She is watching. She is proud of him. Because love does not end with death. Love does not require apologies or explanations. Love simply is, enduring and eternal, transcending all the boundaries that the world tries to place between two souls who have found each other. Choi Seok-min loved Jessica Hart with everything he had. And that love will live forever. This is the story of Seok-min and Jessica. A story about two people from different worlds who found each other against all odds. A story about choosing love over wealth, connection over status, authenticity over expectation. And yes, a story about loss, about grief, about the terrible unfairness of death taking someone who deserved so many more years of happiness. But it is also a story about what remains after loss, the memories that cannot be taken, the love that endures beyond the grave, the way one person can change us so completely that we are never the same, and we would not want to be. If this story has moved you, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who needs to believe in love. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another story that will touch your heart. Because stories like this remind us who we are capable of becoming. They remind us that love is always worth the risk, even when we know that loss is inevitable. They remind us that the time we have with the people we love is precious, and not a single moment should be wasted. Jessica Hart lived for 25 years. In that time, she taught music to children who will never forget her. She brought joy to a father who raised her with everything he had. She transformed a man who had been raised in coldness and taught him what it means to truly love. That is a life well lived. That is a legacy that endures. And somewhere, on the other side, she is making music still.